Hello, everyone. This is Becca Victoria. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, RTT practitioner, and TT therapist practitioner, and your anxiety and trauma breakthrough therapist. Welcome to Embodied Shift. Jonna and I explore real change where subconscious healing meets higher guidance.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jonna. I'm an intuitive coach, and my work is about remembering who you are and trusting your inner knowing. And today we have a wonderful guest, Beverly. I'm going to introduce her to you guys because she's done some amazing work, and we're so excited for her to share her time with us, with our audience. Beverly spent more than 45 years in the healing energy. She's a healer, an author, holistic practitioner, workshop facilitator, psychic. She's certified in cranial sacral, homeopathy, and massage. And since 1995, she's been traveling in her IV throughout the US and Canada. And she loves helping people share, understand energy, intuition, and healing in the deeper way. Welcome, Beverly, and tell us about you and your work and how you got started.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you
I
so
know.
much for having me here as a guest today. It's a delight and I love the name Embedded Shift. And that is so real because we all have an embedded shift within our own being, and how you can discover more in depth what that is through astrology and numerology and tarot and energy work and intuition, and all of these things are part of that embedded shift. So your name is really apropos in what goes on in the world, right? And how I got started as a kid, I was always the strange one on the block. I knew when the phone was going to ring. I knew, and we had phones that hung on a wall and had these little dial things on them. And it was a party line. So it was a long time ago. But again, it's knowing things that are going to happen before they happen, and being bullied and picked on all the time. I was an instigator. And I was second oldest of 11 kids, and a lot of cousins and nieces and nephews now and stuff. Huge circle of family, shall we call it, right? And I was small, 4'11" and 3/4. So Jonah, I top you
Yeah.
by 3/4 of an inch. And that counts. It really counts when you're short. But I figured if I didn't hit 5 foot or go past it, I didn't ever have to grow up. So that's my reason for just having that kid in me always show
Oh,
up. But to get even with my fellow kids I played with and cousins and even kids in school and stuff like that, is I knew we'd get in trouble for doing something, but I could convince them that no, it's all safe. Nobody's going to get caught, right? So this is how I intuitively just built what these gifts are, not knowing that until later in life. And so when everything was coming down and it's like, oh shoot, mom's coming, or my aunt's coming, or somebody in authority was coming, I'd disappear. And so they'd get caught and try to blame it on me that I was the one that instigated it, but I wasn't there. So that was my way of getting even, which now I turned it into strategy and systems, right? And that has helped me in the sales industry and in what I do today. So it was just maintaining that energy and that inner knowing. And in 1992, no, 1982, excuse me, 1982, took a course on Silva mind control that explained my whole childhood. And from that time on, I just really exploded into the world of metaphysics and quantum and everything else to where I am here today. So that's how I got started, and that's why I'm here.
I can see that, especially during that time, if you're so aware of your gifts early on. And I've mentioned this to you when I said, you're so brave. I'm amazed by your braveness because most of us, when we have the gifts, we want to look normal and we want to hide those gifts and not be open about them, but we use them. We just don't like tell the big world about it because it's also so normal.
I don't like normal.
It's these gifts for me, they're so like if we don't have a meaning to them that they're just not even special or they're weird or whatever the case may be. But if you use them in a certain way that, like you said, energy really betters your life. When you're aware of your energy, you're in better alignment. You're better in manifesting. And for you, the way that you did that, the way that you had to deal with it as a young person navigating with all your gifts. If you weren't an instigator, it's hard, right? To just tell people, hey, here I am. I remember my inner knowings about my gifts.
Well, I didn't
How can
even
I
know
say,
what that was
right?
back in the day. Because I'm going to reveal something here, and it's okay. I was born in 1949. There wasn't TV at that time, and is in the state of Iowa. So I was a little farm girl driving tractors at 4 years old. Okay. And it's like you didn't talk about weird things because back then you either got put in a psych ward or you got put on drugs. And it's like, I don't think so. But my grandma saw something different in me that she saw in herself. And she was my greatest advocate because she just kept telling me in her own way, you just don't listen to what anybody else tells you. You just do what you want to do and don't pay attention to anybody else. Oh, well, that was easy for me because I was a little instigator. I knew what I wanted and I went after it. And I continue to do that. And I think this is a drive that we all have, but we step out of it because we don't want to step on anybody's toes. We want to be accepted. We want to be loved by everyone. And it's like, so if we do what everybody else thinks we should do, we are doing what to ourselves? We're not being true to ourselves. And when you lose your identity, oh my gosh, you have to fight to get it back. And I had that experience when I got married and changed my name. I lost my identity and I lost so much of who I really was that I was on the verge of suicide, literally. And I had 3 little ones that were under the age of 5. And it was like, are you kidding me? And that's when spirit really started talking to me. And the first thing they said to me was, who's going to take care of your kids if you're not around? Wake up call, right? And it's like, oh my God, I'm going to hang around here for a long time. And so that right there was a turning point for me. And it's pay attention to it. And it's like I started, and it's like, okay, well, then where do I go from here? And this voice says to me, which I later found out is my higher consciousness speaking, right? So in 1974, I hear this voice saying, it's mind over matter. Seriously, what is mind over matter? The little farm girl in Iowa. Are you kidding me? And then they said, okay, just start living your life for you and your kids. All right, I can do that. And that's what I did. And really got myself together and went on this adventure. And it's like, okay, I need to find my identity. And part of it's still missing. And so I ended up getting a divorce, took my kids, moved to Colorado. And I'll tell you, when that judge signed that paper, he says, is there anything else you want in this divorce decree? I said, I want my maiden name back. And that's when Zeimet came back into my life. That was my true identity. And I swore I would never change it again. And guess what? I have. So it's again, follow your intuition, follow yourself. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to take life? What is it all about? There's so much in this beautiful world that when you start to understand nature and you start to understand frequencies and how it impacts everything in your body, because you are a magnetic electrical piece of equipment. And this is Houston. And if you don't want to take care of Houston's piece of equipment, it's going to go down. It's going to go to pieces. But there's always a way to come back.
Identity is so critical, isn't it, Becca?
Yeah.
I have an experience with that too. So when I got married, and I've always known I wanted to hyphenate because again, I know I've always been guided to and I know my core, but I wasn't living like fully my own knowing. And I was at the Social Security and I hyphenate. My name is so long, and because I've hyphenated, and the girl at the Social Security, she was like, "Are you sure you want to hyphenate?" Because she's like, legally, if you get divorced, you cannot just drop. Like you have to legally change your name. But if you don't hyphenate, you can just drop your husband's last name and you're good to go. And so I couldn't decide. And she's like, okay, since you can't decide, like go back to me when you're ready. It took me, I was at the office for maybe another 20, 30 minutes trying to decide if I want to hyphenate or not hyphenate. It's a big thing, this identity, this label that perception was just, oh, it's just a name. Then my soul, my energy would be okay with it. But because it matters to me. So I went back and I bravely said, what? I'm going to hyphenate and I'm going to take that trouble that if I do get divorced, that I'm going to have to change it legally and I'm going to have to pay for it.
Only if you don't make it into the divorce decree that you want to take your maiden name back, then it doesn't cost you anything.
But that's what they told me. So how about you, Becca? always change your?
Oh, well, this is a great story, actually. Speaking of taking that identity back, so here's mine. So as you can see on the screen, it's Becca Victoria, and there wasn't Victoria in my name. Actually, I added it when I did a long battle to get my citizenship. It's a long story, but because you can change your name when you get your citizenship. So yes, so I said I want to add Victoria because I've gone through so many things that because just to get the citizenship, and I said I want Victoria there because it's very significant, right? For me, it's victory.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Now I am with all the social media platforms that I have, I'm starting to promote it as Becca Victoria because it resonates, it's huge for me.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
But I do have a lot of questions for you, Beverly. Tarot, astrology, and you said to embody any shift, or what's the word I'm looking for? Any shift in our lives. You mentioned that's one of the ways, or few of the ways to embody shift. So can you expand on that, please?
It fits right into what we're saying here with identity and with your name. And so when you have an astrology chart done and you use your birth name and your birth date and stuff like that, right? It's going to give you your soul from the soul essence of what it's all about because of the time of birth and the name and the whole enchilada. And so that is going to give you a guidance through the frequencies that come through the elements of nature and especially the galaxy, because everything is a frequency and it's always around us. So your name is a frequency, and that's relevant again when you move into numerology. So if you use your birth name and do that numerology chart, it's going to give you the reading from that soul essence of your birth time because it also connects with your birthday. So all of that is what started you when you initially stepped into this piece of equipment, right? And that's why it's critical to understand what your identity is. So, Becca, you changing and going to Victoria because it represented the victories that you conquered. That is so powerful. So when you do a chart with that, because that's a chosen name, which was part of your journey for being here, it's going to give you a starting point with astrology and numerology that'll take you into different spaces. You can't change the day you were born and the month you were born in. You can, but it's that date and time and year is also representative in the tarot and how it impacts you, but it also impacts your numerology and your astrology. So the three of them coming together gives you a different version of that identity of who you are. And so I do a reading with a deck that I was given here that actually takes the intention. So again, everything is intention. What is your intention? And yesterday, the intention that Jonna and I had was to follow what Spirit was telling us. Get together, get together, get together, right? And we made it happen. So when you're doing that with an intention as to where do you see your journey going? If you're having a struggle in a relationship or a struggle in business or just like fish out of water, I'm not sure what direction to go, where I'm going, and you do a reading incorporating these three, you don't need to have a chart on each one of those because that's going to come out in your intention. And then the cards are laid in an order in which you put them. And then you do the reading by flipping the cards over, and it gives you the intention of what house it was in or what astrology month that it's on, that type of thing. So it really gives you a guidance, it gives you confidence, it gives you a food for thought. It might even say, whoa, you better step back. There may be a detour here. Are you sure you're on the right road? Stop and see what your choices are and really seek it out. or what threw you off? Are you headed down a road that's not where you're supposed to be? Because we all see bright, shiny objects, right? And oh, this is better. Let me go down there, right? So again, when you start to really look at the essence of who you are, to discover that true identity that we just spoke about from the soul of who you are, mind, body, and spirit, and how you align with the ley lines of the planet, how you align with the ley lines of the galaxy, all of that impacts you from your date of birth, your name, and where you were born at. All of these things come into play because every one of those letters has a different frequency too. So there's many modalities out there that you can incorporate together, and each one of them is a little piece of that puzzle of who you are. Does that help?
Wow. I do have a follow-up question. It did help to answer your question. Oh, wow. So astrology, isn't it there's a Chinese astrology and is it Western astrology?
There's different astrologies. I had my astrology done with the Koss house, like Kosh. So it's Western astrology, and you got European astrology, and numerology is the same way. But I also did what was called the Chaldean chart. And the Chaldean is what was the guy's name? Edgar Cayce. So he talks about the Chaldean chart. Not very many people have heard about that. And so in the Kosh, I'm a dead-on Scorpio. I was born in the middle of November.
Hey, Scorpio here.
Well, see, that's right. However, Chaldean chart is 25 degrees back, which puts me into a Libra.
Oh,
And when I compared my Kosh with the Chaldean, whoa, it actually, the Libra, and I knew I related to Libra because you'll relate to the sign above for you and after your birth. Those 2 months are more impactful. So coming from that Libra, it actually told me almost to the day and time when I was getting married, when I was getting divorced, when my kids were born, and what I would be going into as far as business. I was totally blown away because I had already stepped away from the automotive industry. I was out of my divorce. My kids were all raised. I was no longer living in Iowa. I was traveling in an RV, and it just took and mapped out everything. And the gentleman who did it knew nothing about me other than I was an energy healer. And so again, it depends on where you go and have these charts. So the Chaldean chart to me, and I am a fond follower of Edgar Cayce and what he did with intuition and a psychic work and stuff that he did. And he was one of the first ones to come out of the shadows, right? And say, hey, this is really a real thing.
fascinating. Wow.
So
Oh my gosh. So, okay, when did you do when you know when are you gonna get married and all that, when you get divorced? When was this?
that Chaldean chart, I did that in the early 2000s.
Early 2000s. And everything is accurate.
Oh, it was beyond accurate. The Kosh house it never gave close encounters, shall we say. It was more vague, right? And so for me personally, I follow that Chaldean more than I do the other. But I do have a lot of Scorpio traits. And again, when we talk about traits, you've got traits that are on one extreme and on the other extreme. So the whole idea is your over intensities, shall we say, need to come into balance, right? And then your under traits need to come up to balance so that you're in the mid center. And they're a little different in different elements of your life, different periods of your life, and different situations.
Okay, may I ask? So for some of our viewers would say, why would I want to know exactly when things gonna happen for me? Should it be like, what is the excitement about life if it's gonna happen next, or what's gonna happen this day, that day?
Love this question because that goes into fortune telling. Right? Is it really that insight? No. So when you have a chart done, it's going to tell you what you've already completed, and it'll tell you the accuracy of it because it's already a done deal. The future is out there and what you make it and what you do in the now. You can't change the past, but if you don't want your past to look like your future, then you better change the now. So when you have readings and intuition, it's like, where are your thought patterns going? What is it that your dreams are? What are the ideas you want to bring into fruition? And then the astrology and numerology and tarot, all of that can give you a guidance and a direction to look because of where your ideas are and your intentions and how to stay focused on reaching the outcome that you desire. Because if you're just fumbling through life and you don't make decisions, you say, well, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. Just like what Jonna did, right? She said, I'm going to think about it. It took her half an hour to figure out what she wanted to do, but it could have taken her 3 years, right? But it didn't. So some of the things that we think about or we don't take action on, opportunities, a little self-sabotager gets in the way, or fear comes in, old past databases. What? Remember the last time you did that, you got in trouble? Well, you better not do it again. I'm not going to let you. Your subconscious haunts you. It's how do you go beyond that? How bad do you want what you want? Are you willing to let someone to make that choice for you? Because time never stops. There is no time or space. Everything's going on at the same time. We're just in this third dimension that slows things down for us to make choices. But if you don't make a choice, the choice is going to be made for you. And that's the nice thing to have under your belt with astrology and learning how to use that, especially numerology is probably one of the most powerful things that have helped me because I understand what the numbers are, duplicate numbers are, what triplicate numbers are, and what the impact is. So when you start looking at the future is what you want it to be. The chart's not going to tell you, hey, well, you're going to do this over here. No, it's the desire of what you want to accomplish and succeed. If you have a fear of failure or a fear of success, and that is in your thought pattern, that's the energies that's going to bring to you to accomplish that outcome. And then it's like, well, none of this stuff works because I always end up on the raw end of the deal. Where's your thoughts? Where's your thinking process? What are you attracting to you? So there is no such thing as fortune telling. You create your future by what you think and the actions you take to arrive at the outcome you're choosing to have. So pay attention to that outcome. So Jonna says, we need a guest. Where am I going to find that? I want somebody who talks about this. Well, who shows up? Beverly showed up. And I didn't know that's what she asked for. All I knew is I asked for an audience that fits what I do. And the universe brought us together magnetically and drove us to yesterday to be here today.
Yes, so basically, tarot, numerology, they're all guidance. They're not
Exactly.
telling you exactly where you're heading because you also
No.
have your free will and you are the creator. You are creating everything. So when you're being guided, because sometimes we don't really know, like we're not so sure about ourselves. We don't know our identity. We don't know our path. We don't have a direction to go to. And those numbers are signs.
Exactly.
And we're drawn to them. It doesn't have to be a tarot or anything else. It could be hypnosis. It could be something else.
Yes.
Depending on where you are drawn to. And then that really opens your energy up because you're having some blockage. And now they're telling you, hey, actually, everything is connected. There's, like Beverly said, there's time is just unlimited. It's really just an illusion. So everything is happening at the same time. We all know that we're all creating and we have that free will. So regardless what your readings are, it doesn't matter the direction that you want to go to, because I've heard some people like, oh, I don't want to tap into like, because sometimes I was like, oh my God, I'm so curious. I want someone to read my chart, right? Or out of curiosity, but I don't have any feeling bad about it. And I have some friends who are like, I'm never going to touch that because they're scared. But I would always tell them it can be a form of a guidance. And if your intention is to get proper guidance, you'll be led to that person who's going to give you that guidance. And then whatever you want to do with that is you, because you are the creator and you have a free will. So energy wise, it's scary for people to think that people can dictate where our energy is going or what we are creating, which is, I'm going to segue to how do we protect our energy? Is it ours? Is it other people? Because, like, what is your practice? Because we're all consciousness. we're all connected to each other. And the happiness sometimes that we feel might not be from us. It might be from a television that we're watching, the news that we're watching,
Right.
people that just came to the house or people that you've been around with. So how do you protect, since you're an energy healer, like what are your methods? Because I'm really curious. I have some stuff that I do for myself and for my clients. What are yours?
Okay, I'll share that with you. I want to add a little bit to finish up what we were just talking about because you triggered something in me. There are people that say, I'll never have my cards read or I'll never do a chart or something like that because out of the fear. And again, it goes back into the fortune telling thing. And I'm going to look into this glass crystal ball and tell you it's not that. And I use the tarot end of it a lot is confirmation. I'll ask the question. I'll just go into the intention. I'll ask the question. Am I on point here? Am I going in the right direction? Just need a simple yes or no. And I'll pull a card from a certain deck and it'll give me a yes or it'll give me a no or it'll give me food for thought. So use it in the manner of confirmation and guidance, like you said. That's what they were put together for. That's the lost art of the ancients. So let's go into protection because I love this because that takes us into another frequency in another realm where the energies come from and the messages come from is through colors. So look at the colors of the rainbow. Every color of the rainbow is a key color and all the shades of it come off of those 7 key colors. Interesting. 7 colors, 7 chakras. Could there be a relationship there? I think so. And so when you start looking at that and start using those colors, so what I do and how I help teach people so that you can avoid people sucking your energy, coming into your field, persuading, and we have Akka cord. So I teach an Akka cord cutting. What does that mean? It's like if you had a tree, each branch that grew out would be an Akka cord that's pulling energy in from somewhere. And someone is attached to that. And like you mentioned there, Jonna, that am I being influenced by someone else's energy that's similar to a trauma that I might have had or something that happened to me in my childhood or something like that? Or we watch a movie and we relate to that person and we're crying because, oh my God, I feel that person's pain. You're attaching to that emotion, right? So it's how do you protect yourself from taking on someone else's garbage? Because you got enough of your own. You really don't need anybody else's. So looking at that protection shield, let's look at the human body and your energy field. And like that picture behind me with that little frame around the window as an egg. So we have the yolk, we have the white, and we have the shell. So you are the yolk, your energy field is the white, and the shell is the coating that you put around it. So what you want to do is we're going to use the chakra system here. We're going to breathe in a color. Right? So we're going to breathe in the white light. And as we breathe it down in, we're going to bring it down to our belly button. We're going to bring it up to our throat. And then we're going to let it come out our hands and feel that energy of that color. And then we're going to take it back down to the navel and we're going to just like squirt it out into that egg white, right? And fill that energy with white purification light, right? Let that energy move into every single cell of your physical body as you bring it down and weave through as it goes out into that energy field. And then as that continues to work, you're going to bring in a royal blue light, a deep royal blue light, and bring it all the way down to the navel. And we're going to just squirt it out and we're going to make it coat the shell of royal blue. Now that royal blue is guarded by Archangel Michael, and that's the cloak of protection. So now you've just protected that white energy, that pureness in your cells and in that energy field. You've got that cloak of protection. You call in Archangel Michael's energy to help protect you, especially if you're going into something that you're just not quite sure of and you don't want to be impacted by others. Make sure that you do that. But better yet, so stuff doesn't break through that shell, we're going to bring in a silver beam of light. So we're going to bring that down through the crown chakra, down to the belly button, and we're going to squirt it out and we're going to coat that royal blue in silver. So it looks like aluminum foil, right? And what does aluminum foil on the shiny side do? It reflects and it bounces off. So what you're going to do is you're going to program that silver coating to repel any negative energy coming at me and return it to its creator. Because you don't want it just to bounce off and then go to the next unsuspecting soul that doesn't have protection. Send it back to the person who created. That's called karma, right? And so that is a part of what you can do to start reversing some of that negative energy that's out there. So once all of that is completed, what you want to do is go to the top of your head, and that crown chakra is that violet. And that violet energy is a transmutation, but you don't want to be suffocated in this. So you need an energy flow of impactful energy, healthy energy coming in, but not busting out holes in your side. So all your stuff you're letting go is also going to go out through that. Okay. So what you're going to do is reach up into the sky above your head and just take your pointer finger, which has a laser on it, believe it or not, and just see that burning laser make a 4-inch circle above your head at the end of that shell, and then pop it out. And then just tell your body any negative energy I'm releasing now is going to go out through the top of the head. And any negative energy that wants to sneak in is going to be transmuted because of the violet energy that is there. And that is something that you can do for your child when they go to sleep. You can do this for yourself. And you can do this as often as you want. And once you've done that little meditation or whatever you want to call it, right? Little ritual. The next time you do it, all you have to do is say, white light, blue light, silver light, Archangel Michael, shield me. Take what's coming negative, send it back to its creator. Create that circle up there and open it up and get on with life. That took all of 6 seconds? So these are the things that can happen that really help to start protect you and help you to understand that you can create a protection, but your forces and your power of negative energy can blast through that because it's trying to get out. And so it's where are you directing those frequencies? So there's a lot of things that I do, just like what Becca was saying she doesn't like what you do as an energy healer, hypnosis, and all of these different modalities work when you work them. So understanding how do you start to deprogram that subconscious and reprogram it into what your new truth and database is. That's the key that's relevant. Letting go of it and getting rid of it is a good thing, but I'll give you another little tip. When you're releasing things that no longer serve purpose, don't just push them out there. Throw them into an incinerator. Build this big bonfire and throw all that negative energy in there, because now it creates transformation. And change is two different things. Change is always available for you to go back to something familiar. When you transform it, there's no going back. You can't take a log or a piece of a tree or anything like that that's been turned into ashes and turn it back into a hard piece of wood. Doesn't happen. So that's the same thing that happens with negative emotions and things that you release. And then energy doesn't like a blank space. Replace that empty void with, if you don't know what to replace it with, just say, I love myself. I like myself. I'm happy with my life. I'm this great person. I'm whatever, right? So that it's filled up with a positive instead of a blank hole where the negative will pop right in. Those are two little tips that you can do.
For myself, I've always had this belief, and I think it's a very strong belief. It's ever since I was a child. I just know that I am divinely protected, and I know that we all are. We just have to be aware of it, to be reminded of it. When I was a child, if there's like a big typhoon in the Philippines, in our province, I'll be somewhere else. Like, I will never be in a place where something is happening. Like, for some reason, my siblings are there, but I'm not. And then it really gave me a sense of, I just knew. Like, I've never really feared anything. I just know I am divinely protected. And for me, it's Archangel Michael, shields up, strong shoes, rainbow blessing, and talking to Mother Earth and just envisioning me being grounded by her core, like in the trees, and being in nature is really clearing for me. And just being in a lot, in like, I've noticed that I if I am in a frequency of love, that is an energy that really transmutes everything.
Yes, it does, for sure.
So any pain that I have or anything, I wrap them in a heart and then send them away. So
That's a
my
good way to do it
method.
too.
Yeah, because I'm always
Yeah.
want to be in a space of love, and I've seen this in my manifestations in how I live my life. If I'm ever not in a space of love, I could, because like you said, the negative energy inside of you is wanting to be released as well. So we're never gonna be 100% where we're always feeling good or feeling good about everything, right? So there's
Exactly. We live
always,
in that world
yeah,
duality. And
yeah.
so,
And so also what I do is the violet flames meditation. That's why I really love what you said. And I'm gonna start practicing that, because that really, the way that you would feel all of the energies too with the different lights. And I think that's amazing too, because it really centers yourself and really gives more of that energy to surround yourself with. So thank you for sharing that.
and thank you for sharing what you shared too. It's not a one and done for everybody. There's so many different options and ways to go. And it's you've got to do with what feels right for you, and really make sure that you go to that inner knowing, that intuition. We all have it. It's that gut feeling, that strange, ooh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Listen to those messages and then ask yourself, is it coming from fear because I've experienced something? More than likely not, because when it's a flash, it's a dash. It's like, pay attention. And you mentioned something too about nature, standing on Mother Earth. I love that, because for me is being out in nature and working with the Native American and following that red path, being able to speak to nature and have the birds speak to you, because they all have a message, and every animal has a message. So when an animal crosses my path, it's like, what is that message? And so all of these things come as messages to us. We just need to learn how to pay attention, right? And so being able to know and be aware and just say, okay, I need to start listening to those outer messages, and what are those signals? Because everything has a message for you, right?
Definitely. And thank you for saying about the animals, because I want to share something. So recently was my fur baby's birthday, first birthday when after he transitioned. And I would do meditations at night when I'm asleep, so that I could connect with them on the other side. And I love doing that, especially on those days. So I want to do it like.
Sure.
And that night, May 31st, because I used to feed wild birds. And so I haven't been feeding them lately because they do poo and we have to clean them up.
It must be pigeons, right?
I don't know, but I've been feeding them for a while. So can you believe that they came to me and they said, we're hungry, feed us again? So now I'm feeding them again. So if anybody is getting an intuition and they would want to be more loving, maybe rescue some animals or feed whatever wildlife you guys can feed, I think there's a call where they're like, we need help. So thank you for letting me say that.
Okay, if you don't want them to leave their excess at your place, then tell them, I'm going to feed you. But when you're ready to do your thing out the other
Yeah,
end, you take it somewhere else.
I should really talk to them. But there's a few energy in the house, and not just me. I have my husband too. So then
Yeah.
my husband needs to like tell them nicely because I can tell them that, but they might be like, he's not being so nice. So I'm kidding. So
I want to get even.
I know, because
Oh, so true, so true.
So this is beautiful because a lot of this is new to me. So I'm fascinated hearing you guys sharing all of this. So, but for someone, Beverly, who has done a lot of healing work, right? But still feels like there's a ceiling they can't break through. What would you say is usually going on there?
I think we all hit those ceilings at one time. And I want your audience to remember one thing. People need people. They really do. People need people. And when you look at some of the things that happened over the last few years, lockdowns, and we have internet instead of person to person interactions, and all these types of things start to separate people, brings us closer together on one aspect, but also creates a distance in another. People still need people. And my personal take on that ceiling, as you put it, is to, okay, what am I missing here? What is the block? And it's like, okay, who do I know in my belief circle that I can reach out to and say, okay, this is what's going on in my life. And I think the reason why this healing is here because it's telling me you need to experience a healing outside of yourself because that is a piece of growth that you need so that you can help other clients that come with the same issue. That if you can't send them to the person who helps you because they're not available, you have the knowledge and how to do it. And that's how I've built my entire life of expertise in all these different avenues is by stepping out of your own ego, saying you it all, and really reach out to someone else because that's where that growth continues. Because if you cap out, you might as well go 6 feet under. That's my belief. Right. So there's always something new and adventurous coming along. And so I would seek out what I'm feeling where this block is, get maybe some information from a couple other people that can tap into and say, I think it has something to do with this relationship or with this finance problem or with where you're parked in this genealogical area, whatever it is, right? Maybe it's that direction that you're taking something, you're on the wrong road and you're not paying attention to the detour signs and the flashing lights, right? So whatever that is, now you have an awareness and it's like, okay, and then you give permission for others to help you move past that ceiling. And once that happens, oh my gosh, everything starts flying in. The opportunities and doors just start open like there's no tomorrow. And you'll find that what you were seeking to get results from are now people are coming to you saying, hey, I got this problem. And it's like, oh, I used to have that. Didn't know I had it, but I did. And now I overcome it. Let me help you overcome it. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Wow, that's beautiful. People need people. I love that. I do love that. And actually, my next question, you already answered it. Where for everything that you've shared today, right? And what would you say to maybe just one more thing that you could share? What would you say to the person who's listening right now and thinking, I feel something in me that wants to change, but I don't even know where to start. I know you said reach out, but what else do you think where can they do? Where do they start?
Okay, if you find yourself asking that question, I don't know where to start. It's not where to start. It's not how to start. It's just start. It's just like you think about getting in your car. What do you have to do to start that car? You got to have the key. You got to put it in the ignition or you got to push the button on the fob, whichever it is these days, right? But then if you don't put it in gear, you're never going to go anywhere. So it's the action step. So don't be afraid to step into action because there's no right or wrong. No right, no wrong. There's only is. And that is your truth to move forward in what you want. So if you have that question about, I don't know where to start in what I want to choose in business. I don't know where to start with this relationship. How do I make it grow? Do I want to stay in it? Then seek out someone who can give you guidance. Hypnosis is good for that. Getting inside the self, doing a meditation. Start really paying attention to what's coming around you. If you keep seeing a certain number all the time, maybe that number has a message. Dr. Google is really smart. This spiritually, what does the number 2 mean? I keep seeing it everywhere I go. It's going to give you that push to take action. So your messages come way differently than what you're expecting. It's not going to be a book in your face, but it could be. It could be that you're reading something in a story. It could be a message coming across the TV or a movie you've seen. It could be a conversation you're listening to your girlfriends talk and it triggers like, whoa. Pay attention to those little wake-up calls because they come in silence, but you have to learn to read between the lines. Take action. If you don't take action, nothing happens. And the world will pass you by.
Oh, I love that. So, guys, don't think of where to start, but just start. I love
That's
it.
right. Take action. Doesn't matter what action you take, it ain't gonna hurt you. So.
Oh, wow. That is so powerful. I really love that.
Taking action is just the first step, like you really have to take action.
Your voice is getting real soft, Jonna.
So I said that taking action, like what you said, is really the first step. And then having an openness of an energy of just being open after you take that action, to just feel in alignment and to just be, when you take the first, like the action, that's very important because regardless if there's an action, there's always an energy. There's a movement, right? In the energy.
Correct.
And then if you want to just really create your intention and create something amazing, once you take that action, whatever that is, have just an openness of your heart that trust action is going to take you somewhere nice. That so when we're taking an action and we're very fearful of what's the outcome,
It's going to lead you to fear, right?
it's gonna block
Yeah.
you from, you're gonna get there eventually, and there's no time really. So if we're thinking, okay, there's no time, I can relax, I can be open, I can be curious. So those are all energies that are just really neutral and nice, and they're not forcing you to not to be the person that you are not yet, but you are open to the person that you are gonna become, right? So try to get to that energy of just being open and just being just open and curious and excited. And if you get there with that action, it's gonna land you sooner to where you want to be. Does that make sense?
It does. It is keeping an open mind and move your ego out of the way. We all have an ego. Get a hold of her or him, right? So watch that ego and who's talking. So when you do seek and you're taking action and someone is giving you their opinion, their advice through whatever it is, don't take it personal. Like they're pointing, because that right there is going to move you back off target. So don't take it personal. They're just sharing what they think, and then you can do with it what you want. And really look at it from a perspective of, is my ego talking that they're full of what? Or am I just afraid to really look at what's going on? Because sometimes we don't like ourselves very much and we beat ourselves up like crazy. So look in the mirror and say, who the hell do you think you really are? I don't know, but I scare the heck out of myself sometimes. So really have that conversation with yourself, and you'll be amazed at what comes back if you just open and listen to what that person in that mirror has to say.
Definitely.
So don't take it personal, but take action.
If there's anything like before we end and then go back to another episode, what would you say that happened in your life that really got you to where you are now in terms of your transformation?
I would say, well, what I mentioned early in this conversation, the biggest transformation that put me on this path was coming back full circle to find my identity when I was at my lowest point. And sometimes we need to be at that lowest point to come out of that rabbit hole, right? And to be on that verge of suicide, to move past that by listening to that voice that I've heard my entire life, say mind over matter. It's like, what? Well, I have no clue what that is, right? And then to say, start living your life for yourself. That was a moment of transformation for me. And that's when I started building my life for my kids and myself so that I could really find and be the best person of who myself was at that stage in my life to move me to get to where I am today. So that was the starting point that really made the biggest shift in my life to take me on this journey.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And so with that, just what you said is when you're in your lowest point. So anybody who's listening to us right now, if you are in your lowest point, this is actually your breakthrough.
It's your best place to be.
Yeah, so
There's only one way out, and it's up.
so Beverly, can you tell our audience where they can find you? And also we're gonna put this information on the bio so you guys would know where to find Beverly, her services. And do you mind telling them as well?
I can be found on the main social medias under my name, Beverly Zeimet. That's usually where everything is. And I know you're putting links in there. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn because it has to do with business and everything, right? But I do have a Facebook page and stuff like that. And I don't think I gave you my YouTube link, not sure. But you can look in my history on Facebook and some of my travels. I was on there every single day doing live videos. A lot of my early podcasts, the Beverly Zeimet Show, is on there. So there's a lot of that that I've done over the years and places I travel to and stuff like that. Just starting to make a presence on Instagram. And Instagram, it's has something to do with frequency. Flip your frequency. That's what I'm known as on there. Flip your frequency. And then TikTok is something really new to me. And I'm not sure. I don't even remember the name. I just made it and I haven't really done a whole lot on it. So I don't really remember what name I used on TikTok, but it's out there. So we can figure that
Don't
at a
worry.
later date. But
I could ask that later and put it in the link.
and my email is also available at bzsolutionswithresults at gmail.com. And I do answer my emails. But the best place to really connect is reach out on LinkedIn because I'm on there a lot.
Sounds
Yeah.
good. And
I just want to say thank you so much. This conversation has been so rich for me. It's fascinating, and I can't wait for our next conversation because I still do have a lot of questions, and perhaps our audience also, probably my question would be their questions as well. So.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been a pleasure getting to know both of you and being able to speak to your audience and get questions answered that might be lurking out there in the wilderness, right? So
well,
thank you both.
thank you so much. And we are so honored, Beverly. Thank you for sharing your precious time with us. And thank you all so much for watching. And please do subscribe. We'll see you next time. Let's all shift together.